Have you ever felt a presence in the room when no one was there? Heard whispers in the dark? Or wondered what really happens when we cross over? What if death isn't the end, but just the beginning? On Behind the Veil, we uncover chilling near-death experiences, encounters with the unexplained, and the mysteries that lie beyond this world. Is there life after death? Are spirits trying to reach us? And what secrets does the universe hold? Open your mind, trust your instincts, and join us on Beyond the Veil.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Veil. I'm your host, Tracy Marie. Thank you so much for joining me on my very first episode. This is so near and dear to me, guys. This is something that I absolutely love. I love everything beyond the veil, everything paranormal, everything unexplained. For the longest time, it has been things that I myself has experienced from, being a little girl all the way until my adulthood where I sit today. But before we jump off into it, I just have some questions for you guys listening in. How many of you out there have experienced, the other side, or experienced paranormal or things that you just cannot explain? Whether you had an NDE, that was amazing. We love those stories. I love listening to those stories, reading those stories. Whether you had an NDE, whether you had a visitation, just the synchronicities of the universe itself, just those things that we would want to call a coincidence, but you really can't call it a coincidence because it's just too perfect. It's just in too much of an alignment. Things like that. How many of you have had those things or are having those things happen now, but you don't talk about it? For whichever reason that you have, you just, kind of leave it to yourself. Maybe because you question your own sanity. Like, did I just hear that? Did I just feel that? Did I just see that? Whatever the case may be. I'm one of those people. I've been that way my entire life. And I have just decided to create a podcast for people like me who not only enjoy, those stories or those, encounters, listening to those encounters, and who actually have had those encounters happen and just kind of need an outlet to, to understand it. That's what I wanted to do, just bring light to all of these situations, spiritual gifts that you have that you may not be able to share out of fear of people maybe not understanding, or fear of you, maybe being called, weird or whatever the case may be by those who don't understand. And you just quite don't know where to go with that information. Well, that's what this channel is all about. So let's dive into it. So I'm going to take you guys through one story of my early childhood. This is one of my earliest memories of experiencing the other side. I was 2 years old, and I was sitting in the kitchen with my grandmother. She was sitting in a chair, and I was sitting below her, in front of a vent. For those of you who know the old houses that come with the vents built inside of the wall. So I was sitting there, and to give you just a little bit of how the house was made. So when you come down the stairs, immediately to the right, that's the kitchen, right? It's two entrances to the kitchen. It's the kitchen. It's the entrance right there with my grandmother sitting there, and then me at the vent. And then you can actually hit the kitchen from another entrance by coming down the stairs, going straight into the living room, making a right, coming around, and then you enter the kitchen that way. So again, we were sitting at the entrance that was near the stairs. So I remember us both sitting there, and I'm sitting on the floor, and I'm just playing. I don't know what I'm playing with, but I remember playing. And I happened to look up on the wall in the hallway. And immediately as I looked on the wall, I remember screaming and hollering and pointing at the wall. And I remember my grandma said, "What's wrong? What's wrong with you? What's wrong?" And I said, "Grandma, it's a man on the wall. It's a man on the wall. And he's smiling at me. He's smiling at me." And I remember my mom coming in, in a panic. And she's like, "What's wrong? What's going on?" And I said, Mama, it's a man on the wall. And he's smiling at me, right? And when I say I seen this man like imprinted on the wall, like he was like on the wall, I could see full detail. I seen his face, I seen his teeth, like he was smiling at me. I seen his eyes, his features, all of that. And he was smiling at me. And I remember after that, I would never go up the stairs by myself. Like whenever I had to go upstairs or needed to go upstairs, I wouldn't do it. I was a little girl. So my mom would pick me up and I would bury my face, inside of her arms, and I would turn my head and put my back against the hallway wall, going up the stairs so I wouldn't have to face it, because I was afraid that I was going to see this man on the wall again. And he was very tall, y'all, like full body, full body. And he was so tall and he was like looking down at me smiling, right? Full teeth. And like I said, for the longest time, I would never go up the stairs by myself. I would always have to be accompanied by my mom. Well, some time go by, a lot of time, and I'm no older than 15 or 16. And my grandmother, she kept this, to this day, she have this big Bible. My grandma, she's from the South, so I don't know if, your grandmother's from the South and they have big Bibles. But my grandma's from the South, and she had this big Bible where she put, she keep pictures and obituaries of family members and things inside of this Bible. So I remember one day, we were in my room, sitting on my bed, and we was going through this particular Bible. And, we just flipping through, and we came across this particular obituary. And as soon as I seen the picture on the obituary, immediately like chills just ran through me, y'all. And I got excited, and I told my grandma, I said, "Grandma," I said, "that's him." I said, "That's him. That's the man." And I was pointing at the picture. I said, That's the man that I seen on the wall. Remember when I was 2 years old and I told you that it was a man on the wall and he was smiling at me?" And my mom was in there too. And, they looking, and my grandma was like, "That's your granddad. That's your granddad. That's your grandfather." And I remember being around my grandfather, but being 2 years old, like I can't tell you that I remember his features, being that little. I remember calling him Papa. I know I called him Papa, but I don't have a physical, vivid image of his face, of what he looked like, being a little girl. It's really blurry, right? But that picture was everything. I knew that picture, that's who I saw on the wall. And my grandmother revealed to me that that picture of that man is the exact man that I seen on the wall. And it blew me away, blew us all away. That here I am now, between 15 and 16 years old, and I still have this memory of seeing this man, imprinted in the wall in the hallway, and I still remember the smile, and everything, and to look at this picture and to see that face, it took me right back to that moment. And I remember looking on the wall and seeing his face, and to have it confirmed that it was my grandfather was amazing. And my grandma told me he was coming to visit me one last time, but because he scared me, that he will never visit me again. And to this day, I have not had another visitation by my grandfather. I've never seen him. I've never seen him again. So she was right about that. I've never seen him. And the crazy thing is, that was my first introduction into having experience with the other side. And it has just amplified, y'all, like since then, like throughout my life. I have had so many different experiences that I just cannot, explain. Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start, but that's what this podcast is all about, because these are stories that I will be telling you guys. We're going to really get in and really, just get some understanding to a lot of things that we experience that we really don't, have an answer for. But like I said, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. That was my introduction. But that's also not the only thing that I deal with. I also have dreams. I'm a dreamer.